Om Shri Sai Ram. We will start today's session with three Omkars. Om. Om. Om.
Om Shri Sai Ram, offering our most humble and reverential pranams at the divine lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan. Respected elders and my dear brothers and sisters, we welcome you all to yet another Sai sessions. Today, we are fortunate to have amongst us Dr. Sunder Iyer. Dr. Sundar Iyer is an alumnus of the Sri Satyasai Institute of Higher Learning. He belonged to the first batch of students to join Swami's college at Puttaparthi in the year 1979. He completed his graduation, post graduation, and subsequently earned his PhD degree in banking and finance. He then continued to teach at Swami's University until 1994. As with all the students during those time, Brother Sundar Iyer had innumerable occasions of being close to Swami and learning from his direct divine presence. He had the great privilege of being a personal attendant of Swami for a short period during his student days. During these months of close encounters, Brother Sundar Iyer not only witnessed Swami in his day to day life, but also was privileged to be personally guided by Bhagwan. Later, in 1992, Swami was gracious to personally perform the wedding of Brother Sundar Iyer with Srimati Maya in Prashanti Nilayam. Brother Sundar Iyer's passion is practicing and teaching yoga, and he was the only student who received a gold medal for yoga from the divine hands during the 1984 convocation of the Sri Satyasai University. Everything he has learned about this wonderful science, he has learned at Swami's lotus feet and from the masters who visited the ashram. His passion for spreading the message of Sai through yoga and meditation has taken him around the world conducting yoga and meditation camps. At the age of 50, Brother Sundar Iyer took an early retirement from his IT career. He has now dedicated his life to spread the message of traditional yoga through the principles of Sanatana Dharma. This is his life's mission. In 2013, Brother Sundar Iyer was ordained as an ecumenical minister by the Ecumenical Ministry of the Unity of All Religions in Ojai, California. Dr. Sundar Iyer and Srimati Maya Iyer have currently set up Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam, an international center for yoga, Vedanta, and human advancement. This is a non-profit charitable trust run under the auspices of KYG USA Incorporations. I would now request Dr. Sundar Iyer to share his thoughts with us.
Sai Ram, I hope y'all can hear me.
Yes, brother.
Sai Ram, my dear brothers, sisters, I offer my most prayerful, my most grateful, heartfelt salutations at the feet of our beloved Sadguru Bhagwan, Sri Satya Sai Baba. Before I begin, I'd like to offer my heartfelt thanks to these young brothers, Jai Shankar, Abhinav, and their team, Siddharth, Sai, for doing this wonderful seva, for giving me an opportunity, for allowing me to present my thoughts, my perspectives, and above all, my feelings. So thank you all. Mumbai has so many friends. old friends, many of whom I've lost contact with. I recently met in last year towards the end as I traveled to the Himalayas and in Rishikesh. I was very lucky to meet Brother Nimesh Pandya. And so if he's in this group, special Sairam to him. His brother Mayur was my colleague. So many memories flood back when I know now I'm talking to a group of devotees, mostly, of course, some of them are from Chennai and elsewhere, some of you all I know who might have logged in online. Most of you are from Mumbai, so a lot of memories come in. I won't bore you with all those memories, but back in the days in the 60s and mid 70s, when I grew up in Mumbai, in Villaparle, that's where I was born and raised. Well, I was technically born in Mahim, in a chawl when, that's what they call it, chawl, right? A place in Mahim somewhere. And then my parents moved to Villaparle. They managed to afford an apartment in Gujarati society. That's where I grew. That's all my memories are from there. I used to know Gujarati and Marathi so very well because I had very good friends. Now all I know about Marathi is Amchi Mati, Amchi Mansa, and nothing more than that. My neural circuits have kind of, they need a lot of dusting. It was in 77 or 78 that things began to happen in my life, for which I'm so grateful now. You know, when we share our experiences, I know most of you, when you listen to them, you are also drawing parallels with your own experiences in life. And though the experiences are not the same, sometimes not even similar, the lessons that we learn, the moments that we experience, the feelings that we have are more or less very common. So in satsangs like these, when we share our experiences, in this case, I share my experience of how I came to Swami and what I saw in Baba that kept me rooted there for a little over 15 years, where I saw him in his complete divine majesty, and also saw him as a wonderful, wonderful human being. When I share these experiences, it is not definitely never the intention to tell you, "Dekho mere ko kya mila hai," and I got all these chances from Baba. It's definitely not that intention. The idea is how every soul seeks that connection with the divine. Some get it physically, some get it in a non-physical sense, more heart to heart. And really, from the divine perspective, there is no difference at all. There is absolutely no difference. You and I feel the difference of, "Are isko kitna chance mila? He got so many watches or rings from Swami, or so many interviews from Baba, or Baba talked to him so many times." We think that somehow that person is closer or was closer to Baba than I am. But in Baba's perspective, in the perspective of the Sadguru, where they live constantly, and this is what I saw in Baba, that he lived in that cosmic consciousness throughout, 24/7. And so at that level, for them, there is really no difference between who is physically close to me and who is not. Swami would tell us often, and I'll interchange addressing him at Swami and Baba because I address non-Sai people, and it just comes naturally. So bear with me if I call Swami Baba, or I call him Swami, or I call him Bhagwan. It doesn't matter. All of the feelings that matter the most. But Swami would often tell us that it is not enough if you are near to me. You have to be dear to me. And oftentimes, when we were sitting in the interview room, he would be standing and peeping out of the window and telling us, "You are like frogs near the lotus. You do not know the value of the lotus. But look at all of these people, and so many thousands of them who can't even come, who can't even afford to come. They are like bees who come straight and suck the honey take the essence of what Swami is all about, what Baba is all about, what Sai is all about. So in his perspective, being dear to him is more important than being near to him. And so it is with all humility and great reverence that I share the lessons that I learned in the physical proximity of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. My family were not devotees of Baba. Just like my name has the Iyer, there's a stamp of Brahmanism, if you will, that was put onto my name by my grandparents. We were from the Iyer family. I think of Mumbai, as I grew up, they used to call us Andugundu Narugundu. So we were that kind of family. And they were steeped in orthodox South Indian approach to divinity. Not that there's anything wrong. This is exactly what it was as I grew up. There was Shiva, there was Murugan, as we call Kartik Bhagwan. And in South Indian traditions, there is something called Kula Devam, the core deity, the energy of the core deity that's passed on from generations to generations in your lineage. So our Kula Devam was Murugan. And therefore, Murugan was the prime deity. Murugan, we say, as Kartik Bhagwan was a primary deity in our altar. And of course, there was Shiva. And of course, you had all the other gods because you want to please everyone, right? So my father's altar had all pictures, right? From Shuka to Hanuman to Idamban, the demon who became a devotee of Murugan, and all of that. So we used to have a lot of pujas, a lot of satsangs, and they were ardent devotees. My grandmother was distantly and related by marriage to Swami Shivananda. So when Swami Shivananda's disciples would come to India and to Mumbai, in particular Swami Sachidananda Ji, he would come to my grandparents' place to visit them because they were out to spread the Divine Life Society. And so we had a strong spiritual environment growing up. Now, who doesn't in India, right? That's a blessing that almost every child has. Growing up in India, it just by default, you see temples, hundreds of them all around you. And words like Rama, Krishna, or Hanuman, or Shiva, and all of these are just built into your unconscious as you grow up. And so I was raised in that kind of a spiritual, very strict spiritual religious background, very orthodox. So there was no place for Sai Babas in our family. Not that we knew him, I didn't know, but I do remember faintly when I was perhaps 10 years old, I think, I'm not sure. There was a lady from South Africa who came with one of the saints. They landed in Mumbai. The saint I'm talking of goes by the name Pittukuli Murugadas. For those of you who speak Tamil, if you're in this group, you may relate to Pittukuli Murugadas, who would sing in Chembur and Matunga. He would also come and stay with us at Vileparle and Matunga at my grandparents' place in those days. And I grew up with him. He was very close to our family. So she came with him and came to our home, stayed for a day or two, and then left. And I got very attached to her because she started talking to me. And this is what my mother tells me later. And it kind of faded away in memory. But recently, perhaps 10 years ago, my mother brought it to my attention. She came and she spoke about Sai Baba. I got attached to her. And she asked my parents, can I take him to Puttaparthi? He wants to know so much. But my parents said, no, we don't want him to go to Puttaparthi and all. We don't want that kind of influence on him. Because you looked down upon Sai Baba, they looked down upon Sai Baba as some miracle worker, some Siddha Purusha. Adallah nammalukku vendam, That's all. We don't want all those kind of Siddhis and all. We have Shiva, we have Hanuman. I'm sorry, I keep saying Hanuman because I do Hanuman Chalisa satsangs every night. We have Shiva, we have Murugan. So why do we need any other Baba? So Baba was out of the picture, literally, kept away. So I never heard of Baba until many, many years later, when my father got transferred from Bombay to Haryana. He was working in Parle Products, a company, Parle Biscuits. So this company started in Ville Parle, I believe Ville Parle West, in a small shed, and then it grew up close to what it is today. But he was the first accountant, and he stayed with them till the very end of his retirement. So they transferred him to Haryana because they were starting, they were on some project of starting some toothpaste or something like that. So they wanted him there. So he was transferred to Bahadurgarh, a village. It was about 60 odd kilometers from Delhi, if I'm right. There was no college there, no college that my parents would have thought at that time worthy of sending me. And so the big question came as to what do we do once Sundar finishes his 12th grade. So the 10th and the 11th and the 12th grade I spent with my uncle in Matunga, as my parents did this transition to Haryana and stayed there. I was with my uncle in Matunga, in BIT 2 rooms, Matunga. So we grew up in all these little apartments. That's the beauty of that. You know, growing up, you never know what is mine, what is yours. Everything is ours. That's the magic in Indian households, which is actually a great blessing. And so that is where Baba came into my life. And I dare say, through me, he opened the doors to all my family, who are now ardent devotees, followers of Sai Baba. How did that happen? It didn't happen in one day, but it took several months and a couple of years, perhaps, for that transition to take place. When we were looking for colleges and so on, I bumped into Sai Datta in Worli, Sai Datta photographer, who has a studio. I think he still does, I'm not sure, in Worli at that time. And somebody said he teaches young boys to paint black and white pictures into colors, because those days color pictures were only for the rich and famous, right? Who could afford a color photograph? But I was always interested in arts. And so I decided to spend my summer there, just as I was passing out of the 12th. And I came across, this is actually 11th standard or so, because they introduced me to this concept, something like that. I'm not sure about the time now. Anyway, little consequence. So I went to him, and all he was showing me was Baba's pictures, Satya Sai Baba's pictures that I was painting. And he taught me how to paint. Initially, I was excited and I was painting. I didn't bother too much to ask who it is, what it is, who is this person, and all that. Because, you know, as I grew into teenage, I was up to my neck with rituals and pujas at home. So I didn't want to hear anything more about religion or about sadhus. My aim was to go and join Film Institute because I was a big fan of Amitabh Bachchan. And who wasn't, right? Who isn't, rather. Anyway, the point is, I wanted to go there and I wanted to become a comedian or something. And that was my aim in life. And of course, I was the black sheep in the family, especially a South Indian Iyer family, like, hey, yo, cinema, you know, that kind of a thing there. So I did not ask who this person was. But nevertheless, curiosity got the better of me after a week or so when I was painting only red robes and skin color. I asked Sai Datta ji, if you have any other landscapes or something we can learn on, why are we only painting this person? And what is so important about this person? Who is this person? And then he explained that he's Sai Baba. He's from Puttaparthi. And I said, oh, okay. Then I don't want to know much more about him. But he said, no, you must, because he's your kind of guru. Because by then I had told him all about how I want to go beyond rituals. I want to understand God in a much more better sense. And people are not explaining them to me, and so on and so forth. He gave me this book, Summer Showers in Vrindavan, and I opened the book and I read it only to find faults with when this Baba is going to suggest rituals, and I'm going to say, aha, there you are. I don't want this kind of thing. But in none of his discourses, I found anything about rituals. All I found was love is man, love is God, God is love. There is only one religion, religion of love. There's only one caste, caste of humanity. And service to man is service to God. And this kind of rhetoric in all his discourses, this undercurrent of God is in you, you are the divine. And all of this really attracted me. And I said, this is what I truly believe. Who is this person? And I got more curious. And it was then, seeing my curiosity, Sai Dattaji, the photographer, who was my mentor at that point, and I'm so grateful to him, always will be grateful. He said, you know, Sundar, Sai Baba is starting a college in Puttaparthi. It's a quaint village. So go join this village, go to this village, join his college. Anyway, you are looking for a college with a residential place. That is the college for you. The idea of a little village far out attracted me as a young boy. Guess why? I mean, being raised in Mumbai, why would you be attracted to a village? Once you're in Mumbai, it's like the New York, I guess. You know, people Mumbai, it's love Mumbai. So did I. But what attracted me in the concept of village was this film Sholay, that was at that point still very much the #1 film. So I was like, oh my gosh, this will be like Sholay. I was too young that time to think of Basanti type of girls there in the village. But I just thought, oh my gosh, village, and it will be all those mountains and bullock carts. And so I wanted to be there. That is my first attraction to that concept. I had not been to Puttaparthi, but that was attracted me. So I told my parents, wrote to them and said, this is what it is. My uncles kind of said, yeah, it's a good idea. But my father wrote back saying, no, we don't want him to go. We don't want you to go to Sai Baba and all of that. We don't want you to get influenced by all that kind of things. Not knowing anything about Baba. See, sometimes we miss the greatest opportunities in life by just making up our mind about somebody or something without even exploring. And I think the lessons that I learned consequently from that and subsequently from that experience, and I continue to learn it even today, is keep your mind open. In true spiritual progress, you never make up your mind about anything, including defining what or who God is. Because that definition of God gives you an idea that you make up your mind about something. And then you close your idea, and then you don't grow anymore. You say, at this point, this is my understanding, but I'm always open to learning, always open to exploring, always open to understanding, because you never know when the universe reaches out to you to help you and guide you based on your innermost desires. Some of them you may not even be aware of. Now looking back at the sequence of events that led me to Baba and the 15 years of fantastic experiences, I can never confine all of that in 1 hour's time or 1.5 hours time. It'll take hours for me to explain. But when I look back now, I realize how grateful I am that somewhere that opening was allowed. This was also Baba's grace entirely. And why? We cannot take any credit. Why? Because my father said no. So the door was closed, literally. So how did that door open? Free education. Free education. When I heard, and I told Sai Datta, he said, tell your father that it is free. What is that he's got to lose? The moment I wrote to my parents, and I told my family elders, if you will, because in Indian households, at least in my generation, one person doesn't take decisions. Everybody takes the decision, right? Fathers, brothers, grandparents. And so when I told my father that it is free, then he said, okay, there is no harm in going and trying. Free education is what clicked. This is the beauty of Baba's mission. He opened the doors. From what I know of Baba now, what little I know of Baba now, from the heights of that divine consciousness, he did not sit there and say, only evolved souls should come to me. Oh, only certain criteria of people should come to me. I don't have time for non-devotees and people who don't have any time for all that kind of thing. That is all your thinking and my thinking, right? This divine consciousness only exists in love, only shares love. So what did he do? He opened doors, he gave excuses for people to come in, not necessarily as devotees. Anybody can walk in. Oh, you want education, you're coming for education. All right, come. Free. Come. Freely come in. You want to do seva? Come. Be a member of the Sai organization. You can keep your own faith. You don't have to change your faith. What I'm trying to say is he's opened these doors so beautifully that anybody and everybody could walk in, even to this day. You want to join Sai organization, there is really no sign-up sheets as such. I mean, there could be something like, are you singing of a bhajans, a sign-up sheet for bhajan singing and all, but there's no formal indoctrination of any kind. Come be part of the seva, just join. All you have to learn is to love. Be tolerant to every religion, accept every path as the path to divinity. Open your hearts, open your minds. That is the essence and always been the essence of Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is the mother of all religions. And how can a mother say this religion is better than this religion? Hinduism perhaps is Sanatana Dharma's eldest son, and Judaism is perhaps the twin brother of Hinduism. We don't know that. But they all come under that ancient civilization that practiced just one religion. That religion, if you will, I mean, the word religion itself is a misnomer, considering how we have confined it to these days. But Sanatana Dharma's essence was, you are divine, everything around is divine. There is one divine consciousness that has become all of this. So there is nothing else but unity, and in that unity lies divinity. And in that divinity, the expression of the divinity is selfless, unconditional love. How do I know all of this? By watching Baba, staying with Baba, understanding Baba, looking at that. Was Baba to me was, is, and forever, for many lifetimes will be a glimpse into that reality of what Sanatana Dharma is all about. So this is how he opened the doors for everyone to walk in to his fold. I have come to light the lamp of love, he said in 1968. The light of love, lamp of love in every heart, and to see to it that it shines brighter and brighter every day. That was his mission. That's all he practiced. Whether people understood him or not, with every one devotee, there were 10 people criticizing him. It did not affect who he was. He never, ever compromised on what he stood for, who he was, and how he went about in his mission. And those are the kind of lessons I take home every day. I use him as my role model even to this day. And so as I came in and I said, how do I get to this university? How do I even get into this ashram? Then I heard there was a summer course that was organized in Vrindavan every year in Whitefield, as we know it now. And every state had few people that could be chosen and brought to Baba's fold. And you can spend a month there. So my parents agreed that you can go spend the month, see if you like and all of that. And then we will see how it is, how you like it and what exactly it is. Go see it and then tell us. So summer course was like a little, a beautiful chance for me to experience what that life will be like in the hostel, staying in a hostel and all of that. And it was amazing how that door also opened. I got into the summer course. That's a divine story by itself. How Baba slowly opened doors to me, humbled me, and brought me step by step into his fold. So allow me to share these little experiences, because when you think of how you came to Baba, you will understand that there's so much similarity. Every time I listen to somebody's story, I say, tell me how you came to Baba, because that is so beautiful that it gives you a glimpse of lifetimes of the search that finally bore fruit in this lifetime. If you and I today are in this satsang, paying homage and pranams at the lotus feet of Baba, it is because of lifetimes of search. Some of you might be in this fold by saying, no, I just like to do the good work he did. I want to be part of that. I'm not ready to claim him as avatar. I don't even know all of that. And that's perfectly okay. But the fact that you even made this connection, I believe, this is just my belief, is many lifetimes of searching for the highest self, for divinity. And there's no stepping back once you come into the Sai Baba fold, because all you taste is selfless love. Look at the devotees of Baba all over the world. Do they work for a pat on the back or a credit for what work they did or their name to be put up somewhere? Nothing. It is just for the joy, because every devotee feels they have a direct connection with Baba. They don't need somebody else. And I hope it stays that way, my dear brothers and sisters. It should stay that way. Have a direct connection with Baba. Please don't go running around people who claim that Baba is now living in my body as a light body or some. I hear these kind of stories and it breaks my heart. Baba represents the divine consciousness. And to reduce that divine consciousness as if it's a spirit or a ghost that somehow comes into somebody's body and gives you messages, and that is the most ridiculous way to perceive this divine. What happens is it does not affect him, it affects you and your idea of what divinity is. And therefore, if you limit that divinity to come into like a spirit into somebody's body and speak to you, when you can directly open your heart and seek his divinity. So I hope it stays that way. Baba opened that door in summer course. It was amazing how when the summer course exams were first held in 1979, there should be records of this somewhere in the Sai organization in Mumbai. I think it was Mr. Jha, who was the ice cream factory. I hope I get his name correct. And he was the one, Mr. Java, thanks Maya. Mr. Java, who was the state president at that time. And the exams that were held for summer course, meaning because there were hundreds of kids who wanted to go to Baba's college for the summer course, right? So they had an exam, a simple exam, Mahabharata, who was Krishna, who was Rama, who was the Panch Pandavas, or something like that. So you had like the basic understanding of Indian culture and spirituality. So when you go there, you're not like, completely out of the woods, as it were. So anyway, that particular exam, the selection exam for the summer course, was held on the same day as my last exam for the 12th grade. So I could not take that exam. And so I was so disappointed that if I can't get into the summer course, and then how do I convince my dad for me to go to that village? Because all I wanted was that Sholay kind of village. Escape from my family, run away from everyone, because, when I was growing up, I was constantly compared. Iske jaise kyun nahi padhte ho, uske jaise nahi rehte ho, you want to go to the film institute, who in the right mind will do that? All of that kind of things. So I wanted to just run away from my family, literally. And so I said, if the summer course exam I can't write, what do I do? So I actually went to Mr. Java's office as a young boy. I said, what else can I do? I just have to go to him directly and ask him. I go to the secretary, receptionist, and say, I want to talk to Mr. Java. She just looks at me up and down those days and said, what do you want to talk to him? I said, no, there is the summer course exam, the Sai Baba organization, blah, blah, blah. I just, like a young kid, rattled off. And I want to talk to him and I want to ask him to have another exam. She just didn't understand what I was talking, I guess. But at that moment, the elevator door opened and Mr. Java came out with his secretary. And so this receptionist looked at him and said, sir, and I turned to him and I ran to him. And I said, sir, excuse me, but do you know that this is what has happened in summer course? Your exam, you chose the wrong date. My exam was there. I couldn't attend the summer course, this, that. This Mr. Java, I guess, didn't know what to do with this young fellow, just suddenly accosting him. And he just looked at the secretary, and the secretary looked at me and said, "हाँ ठीक है बच्चा, जाओ, हाँ सब देख लेंगे, हाँ बहुत अच्छा, जाओ." I remember this, and I knew they were shooing me off. Not that they meant it. Okay, this is not the way to go about it. I know now, but at that point I was desperate. And so I just said, why not just go directly and ask them? I didn't know that that door closed also, and I had no doors open for summer course exam. And I came back very disappointed. So by then I had made up my mind that rituals and all those pujas are not the way to go to God, right? I was fed up with it. But here is what Baba taught me there, a lesson in humility. When I became so desperate to get to summer course, I came to my uncle that night and I said, you know, how do I get to the summer course? I mean, I went to Java and they just shoot me off. I went to the state president. They're not going to hold any other exam. How is this going to work? How will I get to Puttaparthi? I didn't know at that time something very deep was guiding me. I didn't know. I just, was this hot-blooded young boy who just wanted to get his way, and I couldn't stand any obstacles in my path. And so he said, "I know one way. I don't know what else to do. I know one way." I said, "I'm ready to try anything." He said, "I have the Saundar Iyer book with me. The first sloka goes like this: Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi Bhavati Shakta Prabhavitum Nache Devam Devo Nakala Kushala Spanditavapi Yatastvam Aradhyam Harihara Virincha Adibirapi Pranantum Stotum Katamakrata Punya Prabhavati. I'll never forget this sloka. Why? I'll tell you in a bit. So this was that 4 verse, a verse had 4 lines. He said this was written by Shankaracharya. And the tantric version of this is, if you chant this 1,000 times every day for 12 days to the Devi, to this Parashakti, to this cosmic energy of the universe, which even Hari Hara Virincha Brahma, Hari Hara Virinchadi Virapi, even if they worship this Parashakti consciousness, super consciousness, right? So you approach that. And I said, then what happens after 12 days? He said, I don't know. You think it will work? I don't know. He said. And I thought to myself, what is there to lose? I have no other door open. So let me try that. So I actually sat down and did that ritual. That is why I say that there was a humbling part there. And did that ritual of chanting that mantra. I had no clue what that mantra meant. I didn't take time to study. I said, isme hai koi shakti hai to dikhao mere ko. Let me see if it works. So I chanted that. The first day took 6.5 hours because my mouth was freezing and my tongue was not saying it properly. And my uncle said you had to say it loud because you can go into dreamland thinking you're chanting mentally. And chanting it mentally was not even in my scope of what I can do. 12 days I did it somehow. And then I sat back and I asked myself, so now what? I had met a few Sai Baba devotees then. I was working with them, going out, doing some seva, trying to understand what is the Sai Baba energy? How do I get to summer course? And I'm meeting a lot of people. So I told all of them, yeah, I have done all of this. So now what do I do? They all shrugged their shoulders. They said, I don't know, just leave it to Baba. 2 weeks later, there was a knock on the door and one sevadar said, guess what, Sundar, I have good news for you. I said, what is it? He said, the state has organized another exam for summer course. So you have a chance to get selected. This is how the universe works. Did my prayers cause it? Did my talking to Mr. Java cause it? Or it was just generally everybody got to know that there was a 12th grade exam on that same day. So a lot of people complained. I don't know. It didn't matter. For me, it was when I put all of that together, it was the universe saying, when you seek something, yearn for something intensely, your prayers are always answered. Always. But did I become wise and accept this philosophy? Then no, I was just excited at that moment. One thing leads to other. Now at nearly 60, I'm looking back and I'm thinking, oh gosh, wow. I learned these lessons right from day one of coming into Baba's fold. Did I pray to him, chant his name? No. But he responded. I went to summer course, attended the summer course, fell in love with the idea of being part of Baba's institute. And then I followed him to Puttaparthi at the end of the summer. I always tear up when I talk about these things, so bear with me. That's how satsangs are, I guess. So I followed him to Puttaparthi, and June, my results has to come, and I'm all excited, hoping, keeping my fingers crossed. My father strictly said, "You have to join. Take accountancy, take BCom. Join BCom as bachelor's in commerce. In India, it's quite a common thing. BCom, BSc, and BA. These are the three things that was offered by all the colleges at that time. There were very, very few engineering colleges, unlike today. Anyway, the point was, my father said very clearly, commerce, if you're taking, it has to be commerce. Why not science? Because they had already decided, my parents had already decided science is not for him. He doesn't have that much brains for science. This was dinned into me as I grew up. Are science, maths, sab tera kaam ka nahi hai, chhod de. Why? Because perhaps I got a few little marks when I was in 4th grade or 5th grade. But somehow it got dinned into my head that tera bas ka nahi hai. Chalo. Commerce is sahi. But parents decided what you should do. It is still sometimes perhaps in vogue today also. I don't know, but in my generation it was certainly what the father said that went. So he said, if you want to stay in Puttaparthi, it has to be bachelor's in commerce, BCom, nothing else. Why? Because once you graduate BCom, you can get an accountant job in my company. I'll talk to my boss. They will put you in this job, and that's it. मेरा future एकदम plan set हो गया था, पूरा career set हो गया था. Little did we know, at that time, there was this huge cosmic energy that's going to enter my life. Change directions, not in big way, in small little ways. So when I went to Puttaparthi, I asked this principal, I want to join commerce, because when it first started in 1979, and I think even in 1980, there wasn't really any entrance exams and all of that. There was no formal way to introduce or get admitted to the college. Show your marks card, your mark sheet that we call it, 12th grade and 10th grade, show it to them. They will see, chalo 60% mil gaya, to isko BCom mein dalo, 80% mil gaya, to science, put him in science. If he gets more than that, whatever, or less than that, bahut kam hai, to offer him bachelor's in arts. Why? Don't ask me. This is how it was, right? Many of you in my generation, teenagers of the early 70s will understand this. And so when I spoke to the principal, he said, Baba, you can join anything you want, my son, but Baba has told us clearly 60% and above, 60% to 80% is all commerce, 80% and above science, and below 60% you can join arts. This is a standard instruction that he perhaps presented to Swami, and Baba said, I say karo. And so he said, these are instructions from Baba. This is how I'm going to do it. So I said, okay. And I was keeping my fingers crossed, hoping that I'll get at least 60% in my 12th grade. My results came. The mark sheet was sent to me to Puttaparthi in an envelope by my father, along with a strong letter. And I had 48%. I am not proud of it. If children are listening, please don't use me as an example for this. Whatever the reason is, I got 48 or 49%. I was staring at that mark sheet. And my father was underlined in his words. He said, that's why we tell you to study hard. Come back immediately to this thing. We will see what to do. Because he knows I'm not going to get admitted to Baba's college. Because he also heard by then they are very strict about admissions and so on and so forth. Anyway, I sat there staring and couldn't believe. I went to the principal many days, even put vibhuti on my forehead just to impress him. I'm Baba's devotee, and did all of that. None of those dramas worked. He said, I am sorry. You can join arts if you want. I cannot give you commerce. So there's a point there at that moment when I did consider doing that 12 days, 1,000 times each day. But I was like, nahi yaar, fir se I can't do that 1,000 times each day for 12 days. That's too much. I can't do that again. What, because by then I was in Puttaparthi, right? I spent a month in Vrindavan and a couple of weeks in Puttaparthi, and I've been meeting people, and everybody's talking about Baba as avatar and this and that, and I'm like, oh God, इसमें से एक भी % सच निकला, तो this must be that this is life changing for me. But how do I know for real? How do I know? Where is my conviction? Where is my faith? For me, it has always been like that, my dear brothers and sisters, that each of us need to have our own direct faith, direct experience with God for us to form that faith. It's called aparoksha anubhuti. Aparoksha. Paroksha is borrowed. We can listen to other satsang, like you are listening to my story and you get inspired by my story and your faith charges a little bit hearing my story, and that's fine. But my faith cannot become your faith. If you rely on your faith on me for your faith, then that is not going to take you beyond a point. That becomes paroksha anubhuti. Somebody else's experience becomes your experience. That is why today we say, sab log ja rahe hain to kuch to hoga, hum bhi jayenge. Everybody is going to one place. There must be something. Let me also go. Arey, so and so big shots are going to him. He must be a real guru. Let me also go. So you are basing your decision based on what others are doing. That is not how it works in the spiritual field. This is not how I learned. We're staying with Baba. Direct. What is my experience? What is my faith? I love everybody's stories. I respect your stories. I respect your experiences. But what is my experience? Without any influence from the outside, what is my experience? I didn't have any. So at that moment, as a young boy, realizing with a return ticket that my father had sent for me to go back to Bombay and they'll figure out what they will do with me, I realized I cannot go back to this family who was going to say, बोला था ना पढ़ने के लिए, अभी देखो क्या करेंगे तुम्हारे साथ, that kind of thing. I was angry with Baba for no reason. You know how teenagers are. We take our anger on everyone else, right? Everybody else is to be blamed for where we are. So at that moment, I was angry with Baba. I said, you can open this door for me. And you seem to be closing it for me. And therefore, I wrote a very angry letter to Baba. I'm going back to Bombay. I'll have nothing to do with God, nothing to do with religion, and all of that. Whatever little I knew about you, whatever I liked about you, it's all over now. People might claim you as God. I am not. And blah, blah, blah. Jo bhi man mein aaya liya, pura. I wrote it, I folded it, put it in an envelope, and went and sat for darshan right in the front. Because those days, you go early, you get to sit right in the front. Puttaparthi sands. Beautiful, beautiful days. So 1979, June, the first week, towards the end, I think it was 3rd or 4th of June when this happened, or 5th, I'm not sure. But I sat and I saw, ready to give the letter and walk home, because the college had already started. We started on June 3rd or 4th or something. The college had already started, so boys had come. It was a small group of boys, maybe 50, 60 boys at that time. But nevertheless, they were all in whites. They came. Wait a minute, they were not really in whites, because we were allowed to wear colored shirts and all at that time in the mandir. And it all grew, right? It all organically grew from there. So the boys came, I saw that, and then I said, that is all not for me. I have to go back. And I don't know what. It was so gloomy, this side. Sometimes in life, all doors seem to close. And it seems that there is no door open, but there is always one door open. And this is my 100% belief. But what happens is we don't tend to look for an open door. We tend to complain about all the doors that we perceive as closed. And so the more we focus on the closed doors, and the more we focus on, what is our fate, look at it, how we are today, and what is happening, we focus on the closed door. We don't see the open door of opportunity that lies there. It comes hidden. Sometimes it's right next to us, so close to us, that we tend to miss it. We take it for granted. We look and complain only about the closed doors. Like the missing tooth, Baba would say, your tongue always goes in the place of the tooth that has fallen off. And you always feel the tooth that is missing, not taking advantage of all the other 31 odd teeth that you have in the mouth. We focus on what is missing in our lives. And we miss the opportunity of being grateful for the million other things that have happened so beautifully in our lives. This was that moment. I just focused on the bleak future that lay ahead of me. And I felt so depressed. Little did I know that I am sitting in the presence of an energy that doesn't know the word no. N-O. There is no N-O. There is no no in Baba's dictionary. It's always tathastu. Sab theek hai. Santosh. These are the words Baba will say. Always. Right? Little did I know at that time I'm sitting at the feet of Kalpavriksha. But this was the second time. I didn't ask. I had made up my mind. It's not going to work. I was angry with Baba. I'm sitting at the darshan with the envelope in my hand. And so when he came out for darshan, I was ready to give it to him, look into his eyes and mentally tell him, chalo chhod ke ja rahe hain. Because I was an angry youth from Bombay, right? I'm not going to sneak away like a sheep from the ashram. So I can go back and tell my friends, "Arre bol ke aaya yaar Baba ko." That kind of thing. Some weird ideas, I guess. So I'm sitting there, Baba comes from darshan, and he comes to me. And at that moment, I'm just thinking he's going to grab the envelope and go, right? There was really no one-on-one at all expected. And I didn't expect him to even look at me. But so beautifully, the letter was in my hand, a little envelope peeping out as I'm holding like this. And he comes straight to me with his fingers like this. He holds the envelope. And instead of pulling it away, like this he did, I distinctly remember that. As if he wants, like I said, cut your relation with him. Maybe he wanted to say, let's see if you want to really cut this guy off or what. I don't know. He held that envelope. And then to my amazement, he looked at me and said, Kya hai? Kya hai? This was the first two words he spoke to me. Kya hai? And I said, Baba, I was so surprised. I said, Baba, admission, immediately admission. That was all was in my mind. Admission. And then I heard my father's voice booming in the back of my mind, say BCom also, make it clear, what do you want? So I said, Swami, admission, Swami, BCom. So this is that 17-year-old, right, kneeling down and literally shouting, I guess, in the ashram, where everybody is so quiet. Swami, admission, BCom. Baba said, BCom, be calm. So beautiful that moment was. And I faintly remember everybody else laughing because he said, be calm. He could play with words like that on the spot, just like that, right? Be calm, because that's what I needed at that time. Anger, frustration, be calm. And then very beautifully, he looked at the principal sitting on the veranda in Mandir. He looked at him and he did this. I didn't know what it meant. So when the darshan got over, I went to the principal. I said, Baba did something. I spoke to Baba and he pointed to you. And the principal smiled and said, you can come tomorrow. And I said, I want BCom. He said, yeah, whatever you want. This is what the universe does. It opens the door completely. There is a saying, right? Jab Bhagwan deta hai, chappar faat ke deta hai. That's what it was. I joined the institute. If I remember 9th, if I remember correct, it was around June 9th. And I never looked back. What happened to me in those 15 years, I saw Baba as a divine teacher, learned so many lessons at his feet. Lessons in deep spirituality, lessons in yoga philosophy, lessons in becoming a human being, lessons in realizing that God is within. From being raised as in an atmosphere where it was isko dekho, iske jaise bano, uske jaise bano. I came to a fold where Baba said, look within you, celebrate your own divinity. You are God. You are capable of anything. How did that reflect in my grades? I just began to shoot up in those grades. As in those years that I studied, I started getting what it became known as O grades and so on and so forth. There are so many stories I can share. I just barely began. I got a chance to experience Swami in very close quarters. Because in an interview later, when he asked me, Kya mangta hai? I said, I want to be with you in your room only because I wanted to get a first-hand experience. First-hand know, what does he do? What does he eat? How is his room like? How does he live? My curiosity with Baba, because like I said, I wasn't raised in a Sai family. Nobody was there to tell me anything. And when I asked senior devotees there, just as because of curiosity, मेरे को पता करना था कि क्या करते हैं बाबा अंदर. So when I used to ask people, senior devotees who would walk in and out, I'll say, excuse me, uncle, tell me, what does Baba do inside? How does he sit? Does he have a sofa? Does he have a TV? They'll say, kuch nahi, Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram, and walk away. And their silence and not willing to talk raised my curiosity more. I said, I need to find out. Not out of audacity, maybe a little bit of that, but more out of, I really like this Guru. I want to accept him, but how do I accept him without knowing him 100% inside out? That is how I was. And therefore, in many 1.5 years later, after joining Swami's college, maybe in some other satsang we can share that, or I've already shared these stories so many times, but I never get tired of telling them. You might get tired of listening. But the beauty there is, I told him I want to be in your room. He said, Acha, chalo, kal se aao, come from tomorrow. So naturally, so beautifully. Baba was one who had nothing to hide. He only lived in love. He only lived with the focus on giving. So if I want to end this talk, and I know I'm running out of time here, I want to leave you with a few words that come to me when I think of Baba, when I think of Swami. And if we can incorporate that in our lives, then we can begin to claim to be devotees of Baba. Because otherwise we can be doing bhajans, we can be going to centers weekly, we can have 1,000 pictures of Swami all around, and we can say, I was 40 years devotee, I got a ring, I got a watch, I got a chain, dekho Baba ne kya kya kiya, vibhuti aa raha hai, kumkum aa raha hai ghar pe, and all of that we can claim, right? But without inner transformation, have you touched that divinity within you? Have you tasted that nectarine essence of the Shivatvam in you? If you haven't, then you're going to be running after one Baba to the other Baba. Chalo Satya Sai Baba ho gaya. When is Prema Sai Baba coming? And after Prema Sai Baba, when is the next avatar coming? And we keep waiting for next avatar to come, next Guru to come. For what? What is it that Prema Sai is going to tell you, which is going to be different from what Satya Sai has given us? He's given us so much homework already. What is that homework? To go within and understand that this Sai that we are worshipping, this essence of Baba that we are talking, is within us. And the words that come to my mind every time I think of Baba, one thing, the first word that comes to my mind is give. Giving. Baba focused only on giving. And I say it so strongly. If you ask me to stand on top of rooftop of Empire State Building or any other tall building and shout out Baba's message, I said, give. This was it. You might ask, give what? You'll figure it out. Your resource, your talent, your money, or what, I don't know what it is. But focus on giving. You might say, let me get first, then only I can give, right? This is the logic we apply. That is not the logic of Baba. He says, give, you will get more. So that more comes, you will learn to give that. And you become a channel, an instrument, a flow, a river. Don't wait to first get. Then waiting to get becomes your nature. Giving doesn't become your nature. Learn to give, then more will come to you. So your nature is already now giving, you will continue to give. This was not an easy lesson for me to learn. because the world doesn't teach you that. But in the divine world, in the spiritual world, if you learn to give with no expectations, give for someone else, because that's someone else you will understand in the joy of that giving, in the magic of that giving, in that connection that you establish in your giving with that other person. You will begin to understand that that other person is none other than your own self, a reflection of yourself. And therefore, in giving to others, you are actually receiving much more than your little mind can ever conceive. Giving. Think about that, meditate upon that, contemplate upon that word. Selfless giving, with no expectations in return. Second, and the most powerful word that comes to my mind is love. Unconditional love. Love not based on condition. If he does this to me, or if she does this to me, then only I will love. Love without any judgment. If Baba were to judge me, I can speak for myself, then I would have had no opportunity. So I got a message saying I can talk 5-10 minutes more. So if Baba were to judge, then like I said, I can speak for myself. I would have been nowhere in the picture. Nowhere. I was not spiritually qualified. I wasn't inclined religiously, though I was raised in a very strong religious atmosphere. I wasn't inclined at that moment, but now I realize how powerful all those teachings of my childhood also were. I do a lot of pujas now, understanding the symbolism of the power behind this. What role they have to play in Sanatana Dharma. There is a much greater understanding, which I share now fearlessly with the West, with everybody. Because Sanatana Dharma is such a beautiful science of the spirit. There's no need to compare it with modern science. It is a body of knowledge of its own that stands on its own accord, which Baba came to revive. Only so you and I can benefit and understand the meaning of our lives. So love is without any judgment. Any judgment. Because if once we judge somebody or something, there's no time to love. I learned selfless love and unconditional giving, unconditional love. Selfless giving, selfless love from Baba, from Swami. And the third thing was believe and celebrate your own uniqueness. Believe in yourself, celebrate your uniqueness. This is a whole session by itself. I can explain to you how beautifully Baba taught us, not in words, but in his actions. I began to understand he's celebrating who he is. He's not shy of who he is. He's not shy of the fact that he was born in an unknown village in India. Unknown. Who knew of Puttaparthi? It wasn't even on the map of India. Puttaparthi, think of that name. That name was scary. If you understand the meaning, it means place of snakes and scorpions. Would you name your business Puttaparthi? Snake? No, you wouldn't, right? When we talk of location, we talk of brand image and logo and all of these days, and we think these are the reasons for success, Baba broke all those things. What he did is sometimes missed by us. He celebrated who he was, his uniqueness. And every one of us, you and me, each one of us are unique in ourselves. Our DNAs are so unique that there is no other person like you, like me. Close your eyes and think about that for a moment. There is no other person like me in this universe. So why would I want to be like someone else? I can draw inspiration from somebody else. I can use somebody else as my role model, but I can draw those essence of these people, but bring them into my character, into my personality, and celebrate my uniqueness. I may be short, I may be tall, I may be lanky, I may be big, I may be old, I may be young, I may be educated, I may not be educated, I may not have any talent at all. But that is my uniqueness. There is the purpose for me in that uniqueness. If I begin to celebrate that uniqueness, if I begin to explore that uniqueness, I will begin to fulfill the mission of my life, the purpose of my life. That is what I saw in Baba, this young village boy who decided to do something with his life when he was 13 and 14. I know some of you always get tempted. Yes, but he's avatar. He knows what he was doing, and somehow we put him into a picture frame of God, hang him up in the altar far away from us, wave an arti and say, "Hey Baba, you can do all that. Who am I to do all that?" and walk away. Then we miss the whole point of the avatarhood. Why? Because the cosmic energies take birth as human beings to show you and me what you and I can do. So his life is a role model for us. Look what a person who believed he was God can do. Look what he can do. Baba was the first to establish a woman for college in deep south in Anantapur. And women education was very new. First to establish free education, completely 100% free. First to open the most wonderful super specialty hospitals in the standards set in par with the top hospitals across not the nation but across the world. Free. What do they give? Just medicines for stomachache and headache? No. Open heart surgery, which cost millions of rupees, lakhs of rupees. Free. Free. 100% free. Did he do that because there was money? No. This is what I'm saying. My father later on became an accountant in the trust. I worked in the central trust for a couple of years. I know that there was no money. There was just enough money to do the mission, to do the work at hand. And yet he kept pushing the boundaries of what the universe can orchestrate through him. These are the powerful lessons you and I can learn, my dear friends. If you expand the horizon of your resources, utilize them fully first, what you're given, and then begin to give and utilize that resource for a greater benefit, then the universe will begin to give you more time, more money, more talents, more people, whatever you want, the universe will provide. All of that will be provided because the universal energies that we worship, Shiva, Vishnu, Krishna, Brahma, Ram, Hanuman, they are all waiting to serve you and me. Because in that dimension, there is only love. When you begin to express that energy of love, the selflessness, the idea of giving, all these energies begin to serve you because they find the fulfillment of this divine consciousness, going back to that oneness state. Ekoham bahushyam. The one consciousness has become the many. Let me pause the satsang. Until we meet again, whenever that is, whenever Jai Shankar and others are in good mood, decide to call me. I'm kidding. But there is no end to this learning in spirituality. So listen to every perspective of every devotee of Baba with an open mind. You might be tempted to say, "Lekin isne ye bola, usne wo bola," or Baba said this in this context, Baba said in that context. So those kind of analysis and comparisons might take place, but treat that at a superficial level. Take yourself deeper within, open your heart and say, "Baba, where is my connection with you? How do I connect to you directly?" Open that door and then watch the magic happen. This Sadguru, this energy has come not to go away. This energy is all around us. All you and I need to do is open your heart with love and begin to receive the supreme energy of Sai. Sai Ram. Let's open up for a few questions. Siddharth, I believe you are the one who will coordinate the questions. So if you have received anything, please feel free to share.
Sure, brother. Before I take few questions, some of the important, I hope I am audible enough to everyone. Yeah. Okay. So before I take few questions, some of the important key takeaways or lessons that we learned from today's talk, maybe we can, spend few minutes, a few seconds on it. I think a lot of messages you gave towards the end were very clear and straightforward, but couple of them which are very deep and very profound for many of us. Though we know intuitively, but I think the way you explained was splendid. I think the first key takeaway or very important lesson maybe we should take back as a homework to ruminate is Swami as a divine consciousness. Now, this is not a eureka that none of us knew, but the way you explained in terms of Swami responds irrespective of whomever you pray, whatever you do. If it is sincerely coming from the bottom of your heart, then there is that divine cosmic energy responding to you. And if I expand this concept a bit, it was Swami who was there before Satyasai Avatar. Swami was there in Satyasai Avatar, and Swami will be there even after Satyasai Avatar. So the Satyasai Avatar per se is a 5 feet 3 inch small body that we see. But there is Swami who was there before, there is Swami now, and there is Swami during that phase as well. And that perpetuity of divine consciousness is what we need to connect to. I think that is a very important message that we should, because many people, go through that moments when, oh, Swami is no more, now the world has come to an end. No, but there is Swami who is the basis of creation. So if there is no basis, there is no creation. So if we exist, that means Swami do exist. Without him, we can't exist. So that concept of divine consciousness is extremely important, and it will help us to connect very nearly. It's not restricting anything into one small physical frame. The second important message I think we should carry all of us together today is about your own experience. I think very straightforward. You mentioned about let's not have any medium in anybody in between, because even the great masters like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to very frequently say that Anubhav is Sacha Gyan. In Hindi is to say the experience is true knowledge. So if we really want to seek who Swami is in our lives, it's very important to have a direct experience with him, even now. So this corroborates with your earlier point when you said the divine consciousness exists even today. Swami hasn't gone anywhere. Even today is available to us, and it's important that we connect to him directly than via any other means. So that is will be our own experience than borrowing, paroksh anubhuti, as you said, from anybody else. Let's have our own experience. And as Swami himself says, keep testing me till you are convinced about myself. So he has given us that rope also, that, I'm available to you for test. Keep testing me till you're convinced. Yes, but also after you're convinced, don't keep testing. And don't go to, somebody else as a means. So I'm just trying to, because these are some of the very profound insights that very clearly came from your talk. And it's an important takeaway that all of us should carry home. It's not easy just like that, but we need to ruminate, maybe contemplate, spend some time on it and absorb and, implement in our lives. I think it will be a great benefit for all of us. So I'm heartfelt gratitude on behalf of all of us that you shared these insights. We'll go into some of the questions. Yeah, so there is I think what we just discussed is the same question coming up. How to stay connected with Baba throughout. There are days when we feel disconnected and sometimes very well connected, as if we are one with him. So there are two different extremes. How do you balance this and ensure that we remain connected to him?
Thank you. Thank you, Sundar, for summarizing that so beautifully. I couldn't have done a better job than that. That was amazing how you summarized. The question as to how we stay connected to Baba is, I'll go back to that word of giving. Take time every day to see what you can give. And it doesn't have to be, see, when we connect to Baba, it is not about, when we connect to anything, doing anything spiritual, especially with Baba, it's not about doing only satsangs and bhajans and doing mantra chantings or puja or aratis and things like that. That is one side of it, definitely. That is your alone time with God. But Baba would say, make your work a worship. Now you might say, but how do I do that? Yeah, I'm sitting as I'm technical guy, I'm sitting and doing computer programming and all that. What if you take that talent of yours, that little thing, that little bit you know about computer, why don't you teach it to a kid on the street or somebody else and say, come, let's learn this. I will share with you. Then that talent of yours, you're sharing with somebody, you're giving somebody, it becomes worship. That is worship. If Sai here is doing the technical part of it, and he is just says, I don't know about all this, yaar, meditation, mera bas ka kaam nahi hai. I'm just using that example, Sai, so bear with me. But he says, I like doing this technical things. I like to arrange audio, video. I like all this connections, internet. I like to do the bandwidth exploration and offer that talent to you all, right? Then that becomes a worship that is as powerful as somebody is seated deeply in meditation. There's no difference. Because when you do anything outside your little self, you are invoking the divine energy. So how do you connect to Baba? Maybe you might think, oh, but I'm not thinking of Baba as Baba or invoking as Swami. That is how you restrict the divine in a form. You don't have to think of him in a form, in a name. Think of how can I use my talent to somebody else. And I've said this example before because it's one of example I take home as inspired me is one individual here who does all these mergers and acquisitions and all that, right? What can he do? He says, I don't know about all this meditation and puja and all. I can't relate. But being in the Sai organization, let me do. I will help youngsters come with their business plans, and I will challenge their business plan, help them to develop a proper business plan, which they can implement. Now, where is the spirituality in this, right? It doesn't seem spiritual, but that is worship. So if you can take whatever talent you have and share it, it will help you to celebrate your own uniqueness, your own divinity, you will suddenly find, my God, there is a whole world opening here. I can be more useful, right? So think about that when you make your work as your worship, little things that when you make, if you're a housewife and you're cooking food, do it completely with harmony and joy, and serve. But the point is, every act, find out how can I make this a worship? Can I do it for somebody else with no expectation in return? Then you're already in touch with the divine. And being Sai devotees, most of us do a lot of things constantly. So even if you're having fun and doing all of this, doing a project with a lot of fun and no bhajans, it doesn't mean you're not spiritual. You're very much spiritual. We did Bhangra dance in front of Baba. Imagine. When we first started doing Bhangra dance in Puttaparthi, when we offered to do Bhangra dance, the very first time when Baba would come to see us at the dawn, when it first started, 1980, there was resistance at the ashram. Elders said, "Arey Babri, this is an ashram, we don't do all that kind of things." But we said, that is what we know to offer. We are all youngsters, come from all over. What do we know, right? So, but he accepted it. He said, in Telugu, he said, "Paravaledhu, koti laga emo chestana," or, like monkeys, these boys are doing something. And he went to the extent saying, wear pants inside, wear your lungis tight so it don't fall off, and be careful, don't do any upside down thing and it won't look nice. So he became very involved. And today, guess what? Bhangra dance is an offering students make to Baba. Where have you ever heard of that, right? Boisterous Bhangra dance with a lot of sound. Anything can be. Patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam. Anything offered to the divine becomes worship. So think about that. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yes, to a large extent. There is one more question which I think quite a few people are asking. How was your time when you lived with Swami in the same premise or in the same room? And any learnings from Swami's, his life as he led, as you observed from close quarters?
Well, that needs a whole satsang by itself. But I learned few things that impressed me most were the austerity of Swami, the simplicity that he lived. You and I see pictures of Baba, videos of Baba now. You see him sit on a throne and he drops a kerchief. There are 100 people, I'm saying 100, but just bear with me. People dive down to pick up that kerchief. He's like a royal king treated. But in his inner quarters, it's entirely different. He's an extremely simple person. The way I saw him, that is what impressed me most. Many times it was the other way around. We project simplicity, but inside our private quarters, if you will, in the Johari window model of management, they will say you have a private space and a public space. And a private space, you're a very different person. But here it was the exact opposite. He portrayed outside, not that he wanted to, this is devotees told him to sit on a throne. He says, You make me sit on a throne, I'm okay with the throne. But he started his mission on a rock. If you see that picture of Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam, where he sang, he was happy sitting on a rock and starting his mission. Alone in his room is the simplest of rooms with no furniture, just one single sofa, a small, I mean, I say sofa, it is like a straight chair literally that he would sit on, one ceiling fan, 200-watt bulbs or 100-watt bulb, incandescent yellow one. Life was very austere because it's solid stone walls. So I would ask myself, when I watched him, why would he imprison himself in this small little room when he can afford, even in the 70s, he could afford to expand his living quarters, right? He never did that. His bathroom was so simple that it was just concrete. And so it had smoothened out because of water continuously. And so there would be moss gathering, and he would tell us to clean it and wash it. And somebody, I remember even in that time, 1980, 81, somebody said, when I say somebody, it's one of the devotees, told him, senior devotees, that we could put tiles in the bathroom. I was there privy to this conversation. And he got so angry. He said, you think the money is yours? These are devotees giving money for work, not to put tiles in my bathroom. And he was so upset. And he looked at us and he said, these boys are not cleaning properly. That's why. Because even at that time, he had slipped in the bathroom. The point here is that he would not use a single penny out of that for himself, because there's nothing for himself really in that room. Most of the places in this room were just boxes stored. All the boxes are devotees giving gifts to be donated. So this is how he lived when I knew him in the 80s. And when they moved him to the Yajur Mandir, the bigger place, he was already on the wheelchair. So really, Baba never had that comfortable lifestyle, if you will. He never experienced what you and I call comfort. And yet what I saw, the magic in that, what I saw was, what I asked myself as a young boy, entering into the spirituality for the first time, exploring him, saying, how does he get that energy? There's no sunlight that he's getting. There's no long walks that he does. Where does he get that energy to be beaming with positivity? Where does that positivity come from? Where's that energy to give more comes from? How is he doing this? It would drive me crazy if I was confined to four walls and come out only for a couple of bhajans and go back to that room. And all the time I'm meeting people are asking me, ye do, wo do, always giving. That's when I began to realize that Baba was tapping into a resource within him that is unending in its capacity to give. And that is why I believe that resource exists within us. That is why Baba tells us, you are God too. Explore that. Believe that. Don't push it away as kabhi aur hai, wo sab baad mein dekhenge, yaar, abhi time nahi hai. If you push that, you will be pushing that for many lifetimes. Take that first step. However bizarre and abstract it might seem, even in this times of COVID-19, and give us some practical tips and all of that. The most practical tip is sit down and say, God is within me. And there is a purpose that is unfolding in my life. Let me learn to understand, accept, and work in harmony with this divine energy. So I hope there's so many lessons from that. My days with Swami, we'll do it some other time. But these are the small things, small basic things I can take. Simplicity, austere living was part of Swami's life. And so when he tells us about simple living, high thinking, please don't think he's just given a discourse or thought of a good quote to share. He lived that 100% all the time. That is who he was and always has been. Yes, Siddharth.
Oh, beautiful. I think Swami really represents, as he says, my life is my message.
Absolutely.
And these beautiful lessons that we'll carry and see how we can, it's not easy to emulate an avatar, but at least. And one more point, as you said during your session, that we should look at Swami not just as a god but as a role model, and that can come through watching him very closely and then imbibe those lessons. And we should try and have one more session exclusively on life with Swami. I don't know whenever Swami wills. But that's been one of the demands that is coming through the messages also. And one last question for this evening is, we understand you also used to sing in Mandir. So any important messages or as bhajan group we need to keep in mind, which you got chance to learn at Lotus Feet?
Thank you for asking that question. I never knew how to pick up on Shruti. I was not a trained singer. I was what we call bathroom singer, like anybody else. And every child is put through the sarigama lessons, right? In India, especially. So my mother was a good singer. So she would put me through those lessons, and I just learned a little bit here and there, but never could really sing, never knew what Shruti was and all of that. But Baba was very kind enough to pick 12 of us and said, practice and start singing. So there are many lessons in that. But one very beautiful lesson is, I used to think that, what is there when you sing, you can just sing with feeling. Baba only wants feeling. And why worry about Shruti and Tal and Rag and all of that? Jo dil mein aaya wo gao, usme kya hai? So the lesson there, because I see this in many centers, and sometimes bhajan is more of a fiasco than singing. Pardon me for saying this. But this is what happened. So Baba told us one day after his discourse, he came down and in that discourse he had said about singing from the heart. Bhagavan, what does Bhagavan need? Only your feelings and all of that. Then he came to a few of us and sat down and came to us. And I think it was more for me, that message, because that's what I used to believe. And I used to try and sing my best, but I used to think, why are these boys next to me, like really good singers like Hirok and S. Kumar and B. Kumar and Brother Hariharan and Brother Kote and all of these guys are amazing singers. And so I used to think, who has the time to do all this? Yeah, I don't have time. Just open your heart and sing. And he came and he said, after giving that discourse about feeling, which I thought he is emphasizing on what I believe. So I was very happy. I said, Dekha, even Baba is saying that. And he comes down and he says, what I told up there about feeling and singing from the heart and all of that is for people who follow. People who follow. When you are sitting in front of the mic, he looked at the tabla boy. He said, you pay attention to tal. He looked at me. He said, you pay attention to rag. And bhava, they will experience the bhava when you sing in raga and tala. And I will sit on the throne and enjoy the bhava, raga and tala. Because when you sing, you are looking at me. I look at the devotees. I see their faces. I see the pain in their faces when you don't sing well. So you pay attention. You are doing a seva when you're singing into the microphone and leading a bhajan. That was an eye-opener. A very simple, just a casual remark by Baba. But for me, it was an eye-opener. That when I have a microphone in front of me and I'm singing a bhajan, it is not about me at all. What I feel like, today I feel like singing a crying bhajan, let me sing. It is not about me at all. It is about creating an energy for people. Because I can always sing alone in the bathroom also, right? Baba can hear. So pay attention to this. Listen to this lesson of Baba. When you are offering a bhajan in the microphone, practice and sing well. If you're playing a tabla or a kanjira or tal for the bhajan, practice well and do your very best. At that moment, focus completely on the job at hand and let them enjoy the fruits. It's not about you enjoying as you're singing, you are doing a seva. Eventually, you will begin to do as well. Your bhava will flow when it is trained well with raga and tala. But don't compromise on the singing. Otherwise, Baba would have called it chanting. Why does he call it bhajan singing? So please pay attention to bhajan. Give respect to bhajan singing. Practice your bhajans when you go into the microphone, because that energy is what draws people in. It calms somebody's mind. We don't know how many people in bhajans are sitting with what problems they're going through. If your voice can bring calmness to them, peace to them, take their mind away from problem, not remind them of that problem. So Baba would say, bring a lot of namasmarana. Krishna Rama Govinda Gokula Nandana Gopala Rama Krishna Govinda Jai Brindavana Gopala Sai Krishna Govinda Trai Brindavana Gopala. It's only names. So if somebody is coming with problem at that moment, he wants to escape, and you're giving him that opportunity to escape. Think of what a great seva that is. Pay attention to that seva. And if you don't have the talent to sing, then use your talent for something else. Maybe you're good in audio, visual, technical things, or maybe you're good in arranging the microphones and fixing the cables around the microphone. Maybe you're good in decorating the altar. All of these are seva that goes to the divine ultimately. You don't have to necessarily sit and sing in front of the mic to prove your devotion or feel that Baba is to hear your bhajan. So short question, long answer, Siddharth.
No, no, absolutely, absolutely brilliant answer. In fact, we have heard a lot about many other ways, but this is a completely unique insight you gave. That Swami himself is an entire bhava, raga, tala merging into him, and through him we connect to the entire audience. I think this is a rare insight we have got. Thanks a lot for sharing this. Before we end the session, may I request Shri Nimesh Pandya, All India President, Satsang Seva Organizations, India, can share his few thoughts. He's with us throughout the satsang.
Oh, Sairam, Nimesh.
To you.
Sundar, it's amazing. What a throwback it is. Absolutely. I've gone back to 1979 and 80s and seeing you young with Mayur and all of you. And I must say that this is not the end. I think this is just the beginning of the Sundar episodes for India. I know you've been speaking to a lot of devotees all over the world, but I think India is something that we need to do. And I request all my young friends to see the earliest opportunity to bring you back into Mumbai, Matunga, Vile Parle, Dharmakshetra. Everything has, I think you get to back rooted here, get a reverse visa back into India and see that you're here. Yes, I recollect meeting you in Rishikesh. What a lovely meeting that was. I was so happy to see you then, and a lot of memories back. God bless you. And I think what you answered for bhajan, to me as the All India President, it's a lovely answer. I think this is one question that was bothering the entire organization to bring bhajan to that kind of a level. And I have a lot of my young friends who are already bhajan singers. I'm sure they got the right answer to this. Great going. Very happy to be with you, and my regards and love to you. Very happy.
Thank you.
Mayur also just sent a message to me. I was sent a message to Mayur. Mayur also says, okay, say hello to Sundar. It's been a long time.
I will. Thank you. Please give my regards as well. Thank you. Sai Ram.
God bless. Sairam. All the best, boss.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Brother Sundar, for sharing your time and experiences with all of us. So it's been a fantastic session. I think to sum up, if I can use one word about this session, I'll borrow your name. It is Sundar and beautiful. So
thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot. And we hope to listen to you soon. I think we'll end the session with Samasta Loka. Sairam.
Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय. Thank you, Sarah.